The Ag Hall of Fame Stewardship Award honors individuals that are actively displaying exemplary community involvement in enhancing agribusiness through leadership or technology development. Would you please help me welcome to the stage Greg Hart, who will tell us a little about our 2024 High Streets Insurance Stewardship Award inductee, Vic Reeve.
Thank you. I'm here to introduce this year's recipient of the Stewardship Award, my good friend, Vic Reeve. Vic and I have known each other since childhood. We attended all 13 years of school together in Connell, and until about 25 years ago, we were both dryland farmers in the north part of Franklin County. At that time, Vic made some big life changes that affected his career and part of why he's here tonight. Vic was born in Connell, actually in Connell at the Connell Clinic. He grew up on a dryland wheat farm east of Mesa and south of Connell. His dad, Gene Reeve, and later Vic, farmed this land for the Pepio family for about 50 years. Life on the farm for Vic and his 3 older siblings here was like what most farm kids experienced: work, animals, more work. He learned at an early age to drive and operate equipment at an age that would be unacceptable under today's regulations. In school, Vic was always well liked by his classmates, made many lifelong friends from grade school on, and began to demonstrate his many leadership qualities while in school. After high school, Vic took a short break from the farm, but was soon back farming. He and his wife, Deborah, 50 years together now, congratulations, returned to the farm on Pepio Road to raise their family and once again do what Vic loved to do. Over the years, his kids, Dulcie, Zach, and Sarah, volunteered to do all the same things on their farm that their dad did as a kid. And I'm sure they looked at this as a good way to develop a strong work ethic. That was what your dad had in mind. So Vic was a good dad. In fact, he still is a good dad. While his kids were in school, he was involved in their activities, their extracurricular activities, and welcomed their friends to join them on the farm whenever they wanted. All 3 of the kids went on to college, earned their degrees, and began careers of their own. Vic was very proud of you for that. While in Connell and on the farm, he was active in many community events, active in his church, and in a variety of ag-related organizations. Life was good on the farm, even though the farming economy was not always good. The big change that came in Vic's life that I mentioned earlier had now arrived. Vic has always been a tough guy. Going to school with him, I saw him recover from sports-related injuries in high school and a few accidents in the farms that didn't go well for him. But finally, chronic back pain and the related surgeries took its toll. Vic realized his body could no longer handle the physical demands of running the farm. He made the decision to leave the farm where he had lived his entire life, a farm that he loved and cared for as if it was his very own. This was a difficult time for Vic. I'm confident that his strong Christian faith guided him as he looked to the future and to what was going to be next for him. That next for Vic has benefited many of us living in Franklin and Benton counties. After working a couple jobs when leaving the farm, he took a position in 2004 with the Franklin County Noxious Weed Control Board. He was initially an inspector and was named coordinator in 2010. This was a perfect fit for Vic. Any of you know Vic and know his strong personality, opportunity to be in charge was a great one for him, and he took advantage of it. He had a vision of what he thought the role of the weed board should and could be in Franklin County. Under his leadership, and with the assistance of his fellow employees, changes were made that expanded the effectiveness of the existing program. Quoting Todd Harris, who succeeded Vic as the coordinator, he said, quote, "Vic gave the weed board a face in the community." After 11 years in Franklin County, Vic was hired to be the coordinator for the weed board in Benton County, where he lived. In 2005, he was tasked with rebuilding a weed board that was in major transition and non-functional, and make it a successful county board to serve the people of Benton County. In just 5 years, upon Vic's retirement in 2020, he had met that goal. You have done well, my friend, and congratulations on your induction into the Ag Hall of Fame.
Homesteaded farm that was homesteaded in 1907. Being a farmer and living on the farm, and my wife and I had 3 children that we were very involved with their school activities in Connell and all city activities. That's where we were living. That's where we were taking care of the community and helping out. We also were involved with the Washington Wheat Association, and through that we actually had people that came from the west side of the state and would come spend a week at our farm trying to impress upon them the importance of agriculture, what we provide, and how it's accomplished. When I transitioned from farming to a new career at the age of 50 for health reasons, it was quite an adventure, I thought. I learned a lot of information that I just had glossed over for that period of time. Got involved with state organizations and state funding and boards and a number of activities that I just would have never gotten into. And so this opportunity came in, and I thought it was a great reason to start. And so it developed into much more than I ever thought it would be, becoming the coordinator for Franklin County and then Benton County and then finishing up with Walla Walla. But the health thing is what drove it, so be careful out there.
Here to present the 2024 High Street Insurance Stewardship Award is Brad Toner.
Thank you. It's my honor to honor Vic tonight as the Stewardship Award. High Street Insurance and myself have been involved in agriculture in this area for a long time, and we there's no finer people than ag people, and we plan on doing this for a lot more years. So thanks, Vic.
Hey, how you doing? It's snowing outside, it still is, and so I'm glad that you're here, and I hope you're glad that you're here also. A theme is running through this, as you can see. It's learning, sharing, and encouraging one another. That's what we do. That's what ag does. Everybody has said what I wanted to say. I've got some words written down here. Colin said, don't write anything down, just speak. He's never been to one of my presentations before. He challenged me to do 2 hours of a presentation, and I did 2.5. So get ready. No, it's a great pleasure to be here. It's really an honor for me. And it's especially nice because I know all these people up here. So it's kind of like a family deal, right? I'm going to start out. I don't do very good speaking, but I'm a really good storyteller. So if I run into a story along here, and it includes you, thank you for your participation. I would like to thank the Mid-Columbia Ag Hall of Fame Committee and those that spoke on my behalf. If you don't know how this works, you know, you're nominated and then people write nice things about you. They had to go through quite a few to find somebody to say nice. Luckily, I found Greg. Greg found me. We've been together since the first grade, and that's a number of years ago. So I'd like to say congratulations to all the other recipients tonight, and for all of you that showed up in the snow and the wind and had a nice meal. We get to sit around and enjoy ourselves. Be careful when you go home. This is a very great honor for me. It humbles me quite a bit. Not a place I thought I'd be. Thank you. A very special thank you to my extraordinary wife, Deborah, who runs it for me. I don't have to do much other than what she says. And also for my 3 children, Dulcie, Zach, and Sarah. And we also have 7 grandchildren. So it's a well-rounded group. This group has filled my life with motivation to have adventures, to accept challenges, and be satisfied. Pretty good bill to pay, really, you know? All those things can get done, you're doing well. A little bit about myself, you've heard most of it already, but I'll tell you a little bit more. I was raised on a dryland wheat farm 10 miles south of Connell and 5 miles east of Mesa, Franklin County. A dusty, sandy, wonderful place to grow up and live. It was the Pepio farm, and my dad leased it, and then I leased it, and there was 4 generations of Pepios that homesteaded it, and 3 generations of Reeves that lived there and enjoyed it. We were all very tied to this very special piece of land that we had. Darrell Pepio was one of the first inductees into the Hall of Fame back in 2000 as a pioneer, which he was. He was also a commissioner. That's why we have Pepio Road. We don't name them after commissioners. It just worked out that way. So, stewardship is really what that I'm here to talk about. And I think stewardship maybe means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But to me, I'm one of these guys that's got to look up stuff because I don't know a lot, so I need to increase my knowledge all the time. Stewardship is the care and responsible management of something entrusted to one's care. Like I say, we grew up on the Pepio farm. It was never our farm. It was never going to be our farm. But it was our, with a big R, farm. The Pepios and us worked together. Dwayne Pepio was the one that I dealt with mostly. Darrell was gone by the time I got up to understanding things. But Dwayne was one of these guys that would ask you the question you did not want to answer. How come that feels 10 bushel less than these others? Well, kind of forgot to fertilize that one, I guess, maybe. It wasn't quite that bad, but he was always asking questions you didn't want to answer. And it was great because it always meant you had to be prepared because he was going to ask you something and you better have an answer, even if you had to make it up. I was a farm kid from the get-go. Most of my education came from the people that were around me. put my hand down here. And I could never stay clean. I remember my siblings are sitting over here. Oldest brother Mike, Jeannie, and Jan. The four of us got together over New Year's Eve. I'll digress a little bit. And we tried to figure out when we became the oldest people in the room. If you haven't hit that yet, you're going to. But I never could stay clean. I loved tractors. I loved combines. I loved working in the shop. And I still do. I've done it as long as I can remember. Endless hours of tractor time in the dust and the heat and the cold. It was the late 70s before we found out what a tractor cab was. And then we only used it sparingly because we didn't want to wear it out. It was the 80s before we had combines with a cab on it and air conditioning. Anybody else in that boat? Yeah, there you go. All right. So, straight lines were important then. Timing was critical then. And weather, as always, is unpredictable. That's the life of a dryland wheat farmer. My learning experience have been my best teacher throughout the years. Being involved with family, friends, church, and community, and all the agricultural industry have given me an appreciation for the unlimited possibilities available to serve and to learn. We never want to stop doing that. My parent lessons came. All of you with kids maybe can relate to a few of these. 2nd grade soccer team. Did anybody ever have one of those? Deborah started it in Connell. You don't tell a 2nd grader very much, except kick the ball. And so they were all in a circle about the size of your table, 12 of them, kicking the ball. So it was a lot of fun, a test of patience. Field trips to Dry Falls. Anybody been to Dry Falls? On a school bus? That's another case of patience. Ag in the classroom, teaching young grade school kids about agriculture, how it works, what it looks like as the plant grows, what you need to have those things done. We did the farm-city swap. So that was bringing adults from the west side of the state over and showing them what dirt was and how people lived and how people farmed. And they always went back amazed that they learned something they never knew before. All right, I gotta find my spot. I'm sorry. T-ball? Anybody play T-ball? That's an abusive game, isn't it? Little League, coaching, and umpiring, sometimes at the same time. FFA and 4-H, livestock. Coaching the class of 94, Zachary's class. When they were freshmen, Zach came up and asked me if I would coach the girls' flag football team that was going to play homecoming week. I said, geez, I don't know. I got things to do. Well, we did it, and guess what? Those freshman girls beat the socks off of the seniors, and they did it for 4 years in a row. So they are the national champions of flag football, as far as I can tell. It was really quite an experience. So my participation lessons came from being involved with wheat growers, Franklin County wheat growers, Washington State wheat growers. And if you've not been on a board, get on one. It's one of the best things you can ever do. It will teach you more than you ever thought you didn't know. It's a great group of people. We made trips to Olympia and one to Washington, D.C. That was an adventure for a country boy. Get on that airplane and ride and get off there, ride a taxi, first time, into the city. We had a nice place and a nice motel room or a nice hotel, and we came down to go to our meetings, and the door guy there, what do they call them? The door guy. We got down there and he said, "Where you going, boys?" "Well, we're headed over to the ag department over there." He said, "Okay, let me get you a cab." He says, "Now the next time you come down here, I want you to remember one thing." "Oh yeah, what's that?" "Turn right, don't turn left. We don't want you wandering down left. You go back home, you tell them you went to the right." I didn't understand that at the time. Now I do. He was looking out for us. People do that if you let them do it. Give them the chance, they will do that. Deborah and I were lucky enough to go back to the National Cenex Harvest States Convention in St. Paul, Minnesota. We got to see the Mall of America. Well, it wasn't much either. So my organizational skills and lessons came from being on boards and having that membership. It's pretty much been my education for the last 40 years. Connell Grain Growers, Franklin County Conservation District, Walk to Emmaus, Franklin County Weed Board, Benton County Weed Board, Walla Walla County Weed Board, and many others. It's a very good learning experience. Get involved. Change can be hard, and that can be a very hard lesson. But change is inevitable, and it is necessary. In my case, change came from physical problems. Replacement parts are wonderful, aren't they? Shoulders, knees, hips, even backs can be upgraded. However, they're not original equipment. So they work well, just don't overwork them. CRP allowed me a reduction in my workload and the entrance into the outside world, outside agriculture, into the commercial aspect of life. It was a real change. If you want a challenge, try driving a school bus. Yeah, and they ain't your kids in there. And you can't do what they used to do. I made 2 trips. And I put the keys on the desk and I said, "Sir, this is not the job for me." He said, "I understand." And we parted friends. But other skills that challenged me were getting computer lessons from Jim Bailey at the Auto Parts in Connell. One of the first computers I'd ever seen. Or how about learning how to be a salesman for Marv and Brad Bell? Now there's a challenge for you. I'm thankful for every one of these experiences I had. Reinventing yourself is what my friend Julie calls it. I call it painful and very scary. But with the right support, change can happen. 2004, I went to work for the Weed Board, Franklin County. Ramey DeRue and I went to the same church at that time, and he came up to me after church one day and said, "Hey, did Bill talk to you? He was going to talk to you about going to work for the Weed Board part-time." I said, "Yeah, he did." And we stood there and looked at it for a little while, and he said, "Well, what'd you say?" I said I would. "Well, good. Welcome aboard." Have you ever been stuck behind Farmer Bob driving down that gravelly, dusty road? Farmer Bob don't know you're there, does he? And he doesn't really care. Well, that was what my new job was. Drive down the road and look out the window. How many times have I said that to this crew over here? That's what you do. Drive down the road and look out the window. It was kind of like driving tractor, only quieter. I was able to take all of those random lessons that I had learned from my kids in school, farming, attending board meetings, making cold call sales, sharing information, gathering expertise, asking questions, and solving problems. And I put them all to good use. Changing what is to what it can be is another form of stewardship. That is what made Franklin County Weed Board a positive for the county. Todd and Betsy, they continue to make changes by developing new programs and improving service to the county. 2007 was one of my most exciting times. The 8 Southeast Washington counties weed boards all got together and formed a cooperative weed management area. That was a real buzzword at the time, CWMAs. That meant you could get grant money, that meant you could get stuff done. So that was very exciting. For 10 years, we were, with some terrific help and support, we were able to bring together not only those coordinators from those 8 counties, but also private landowners, public landowners, and county or government agencies. Experts in weed control, cropping systems, biological control, soil conservation, restoration, and wildlife came from across the Pacific Northwest. The Northwest, not just locally, Montana, Oregon, Idaho, British Columbia. They all drove to Dayton, Washington to meet with this group of people. It was amazing. You could call people up that had PhDs and all kinds of stuff, and they'd said, yeah, I'll be there. Just tell me when. People will do. People will go if you ask them. The whole idea was to provide support, education, and encouragement. Another stewardship value. 2015, the Benton County Weed Board was struggling to keep their board members and to keep leadership. A change was needed. Mark and Heather from the Conservation District helped me asked me to help bring into function the agency for Benton County. The conservation boys, their members, stepped up and said, well, we'll be the weed board directors because they didn't have any. And we'll have 2 meetings in one night. Now that's a little overzealous if you're a board meeting, but it worked for a while till we got our feet on the ground. And then we were off and running. Conrad Cower joined me, and we introduced the weed board to Benton County. It now has a working program that is providing a valuable service and encouraging good stewardship. May of 2020, I retired. COVID took it out of me. I just didn't want to do that sitting around anymore. I served as the coordinator for Walla Walla County for 1 year, 2023. Now I think I'll just stay retired. I want you to think about this quote that I got. It came from one of the wheat growers' presidents. His name was Ryan Poe. And from 2019 to 2022, during that hard period, he remained president. But at the end of one of his letters, as he was trying to encourage people to hang in there and keep going, the end was, it's not mine, it's just my turn. Now, to me, that explains stewardship better than anything. It's not mine, it's just my turn. I need to do the best I can with what I have make it better, and pass it on. Straight lines are still important, timing is still critical, and the weather, as we see tonight, is still very unpredictable. Thank you for your recognition and this honor. I just thought I was doing what I should do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg, Brad, and Vic.